Greetings from Los Angeles. I am Murphy Daly, AV veteran, project manager, author, and columnist for the Rave Pubs. You can find me on the webs at Written by Murphy. You're joining us for the AV Life.
James King here, writer for the Higher Digital Magazine, board member for HETMA, co-host of Ask the Programmer. Again, if you Google me, you'll find me on the internet everywhere. And you are watching and listening to the AV Life.
And I'm your host, Tim Van Wert, also from HETMA, also from higheredav.com, not from Ask the Programmer. I steer clear of that because that is not my forte, as you all have heard over the years. And you are watching and listening to the AV Life. All right. Hey, James, I just have to comment, and I'm glad you're here with us. But I have to say, your audio quality is just not the same since you've been in your car. You have to figure out wiring up like a Shure in there or a Sennheiser or something like the.
Hey, the call right here. You heard it. Vendors, we need a demo. We need a demo.
I was just gonna say that. If any vendor wants to send me a demo that I can run the podcast from my vehicle Thursdays night, let me know.
There you go. Yeah, either that or you need to, or our manufacturers need to partner with car companies to make better in-car audio experiences, because this is something that's happening more and more often, that people are taking their calls in the car. I am very much guilty of that, and my HETMA folk can vouch to that. And
actually, I'm trying to remember the advertisement. I might have been a Tesla, but I'm not sure. But one of the smart cars with electric cars actually advertise take business meeting from the car. That was in their advertisement.
Interesting.
So yeah,
now I would that sounds like that sounds like a Tesla thing, because I feel like that environment of, you have the electric motor that's very silent, and the auto drive feature, like, that's I think that's a Tesla thing. But yeah, there's definitely an opportunity.
You guys brought it up. And this is an update. I think I mentioned it once or twice before on this podcast. My family has been waiting on a list, supply chain problems, for the Ford Maverick truck.
Oh yeah.
The hybrid.
Yes.
And we thought, no way is this going to happen. It's going to be 2023. But at the last minute, across the finish line, we got a VIN number saying, yes, you will get a truck for 2022, which is great, because that meant we still got the package of 0% financing, which will not be the case with the next one. But anyway, I think it's not a fancy truck. It is an inexpensive truck, but we're happy to get it. And it's no Tesla, right? But I think it's got a CarPlay as part of its system. So
nice.
We'll have to see.
That's cool. Well, that's what Ford was aiming for, though. They were aiming for an affordable pickup truck that also, like, if you got the hybrid model, you were able to, it could be a family car and it could be a truck. And so I think that's, it definitely meets its goals in that respect. I'll say I have a Hyundai Tucson 2022. It is a beautiful vehicle. I am very happy with it. It's not hybrid. It's not electric. It's straight up gas. But I have wireless CarPlay in my car, and it is wonderful just being able to get in my car and then fire it up and just have everything set up on my display and have it ready to go. So it's without even I don't even need to take my phone out anymore.
Isn't it? It's like future proofing, forward thinking, that you can the system is dependent on the phone, so it can have more features rather than the internal way.
Well, and I had a thought. Oh, go ahead, James.
I was gonna say, you know what, Tim? No, I'm not gonna go. You go with your thought.
So I had thought the other morning when I got into my car and my CarPlay kicked in, we could actually set up 2-factor authentication for our cars, because you already sorry, James. Well, because let me put it to you this way. here in New Jersey, we've been having a problem, and I think maybe it's more of a United States problem in general, but people are leaving their cars running and they're getting stolen because they leave their fobs in the car. If we had two-factor authentication where the fob had to be in the car and the owner's cell phone with the negotiated app is in the car as well, then you would have access to drive the car.
But the thing is, there's a lot of cool features. Yes, I think so. But what if you're in a dead zone? Now you can't drive your car.
Well, good point.
So
these are my 6:30 a.m. thoughts before I've had my coffee, so they're half baked usually. So it's.
I want to say I thought of this. I don't know how to do it. I'm not that smart, but there are a lot of smart people out there. Just give credit to this podcast. If anyone can figure out of a way to, and this is a growing problem in the United States, and this would be great, is to have a system in vehicles that detect if there's a child in the back, sends an alert, and then if that alert is not responded to in a certain time, notifies the authorities.
Oh, right, because there's those horrible stories of people that their children have died.
Yeah,
because they left them in the car.
Utterly horrifying.
And that's
what I mean.
I don't want to like point fingers at parents and stuff like that, but like I can't even wrap my head around the fact like I look in the back seat even when he's not in the car with me. I always check the back seat.
Happen. Sadly, it can happen. I remember reading a story, and I felt bad for the guy. I think it had a happy ending, but the guy, he always travels to New York City for work. That's his morning routine. You know, we're creatures of routine. His wife always takes the child to daycare. For some odd reason, he had to do that morning, but he didn't. He went through his normal morning routine. He takes the train into work. So he parks at a train station and takes the train into work.
Oh.
He was on the train when he realized the mistake. He called the authority and he's like, look, I don't care if you have to break my windows. He's like, I just totally blanked out. I got into my morning routine, went the way I did. I don't know how many times where, I'm sure we all done this. Thank God, no kid in the back. But like, think about how many times you're driving your normal route and you're like, wait, I'm here already? Like, you don't, like, what happened in the last 15, 20 minutes? Because you're so in a zone. And unfortunately, vehicles are horrible at that. We all get in our tunnel vision, and that's increased accidents, but then also issues like that happen where kids get left behind either on accident. Some people, I think, have done it on purpose. Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm sure,
oh
like, and that's, by accident, you know, I agree with you, James. So it's just my brain just not being able to process that. Like, and it's like, and as a parent, like you never want that to happen. Like, so.
You never want that to happen. And I'll admit, and it's funny enough, my wife called me out on this, but we were talking about this issue. We got home, car in park. I took 2 steps forward away from him, and she's like, aren't you going to get your daughter from the back? We were just talking about. Now, I was, hey, I could have touched the car. My hand was on the car. I would have eventually, came to the realization. She was there. She realized it was just funny how we were just talking about it. And I got out of the car. I was in the zone of the discussion, and I took 2 steps away instead of going backward to open the back door.
Okay. My uterus is hurting right now. We should change the topic. This is just
sorry.
for me.
All right. We'll switch gears.
Great idea. Let's implement that. Fantastic.
Yes.
Moving on.
Child detection for the back seat that has a safety system. There you go. So
right.
Well, I was gonna say it's interesting because I've seen some of our manufacturer partners have things about detection and things like that, temperature detection and stuff like that. So it's possible with the right integration.
Oh,
so
definitely possible.
We have the technology.
We can rebuild it.
We can make it better, stronger, faster, and more detectable.
Mm.
All right. So we're a little short today.
The
As
skeleton
far as
crew.
the skeleton crew is here. It's opening day for the Chiefs, or home opener for the Chiefs. Let's clarify that. So Renee is out with them. And Nancy is out in Italy, having her jollies with the Italians out there. And okay, maybe I shouldn't have put it that way. Having a good time
Entertained by
in
the
Italy.
Italian people in their fabulous
Yes,
country.
there we go. Yes, thank you. But sorry, Nancy, I didn't mean that. And
I want to hear the stories.
yeah, I know.
Oh my
We'll have
God.
to see what she comes back with.
To take a little sidebar on that boat. One time, I was in a meeting with a older saleswoman, and I made some comment about an old crush or something, which took her all the way down memory lane, and she went on a rip roaring story to the whole team. The customer wasn't part of it, but to the whole team about some pool boy from her youth that were like, okay. It was a topic of discussion amongst the group afterwards. We're like, wow, things we didn't know.
Yeah.
You get close.
The things we didn't want to know.
We're like, wow. Like, I just was okay. So yeah, all right. People have all kinds of stories.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. And I don't know if I'm going yet, but they have my high school, even though it's closed now, that the facility itself is still open, and they host every year they host a reunion event to have all the people come back. I haven't gone I haven't decided if I'm going this year. But the last time I went, which was pre-COVID, or was it last year? It might have been last. I think I went last year. Oh no, I was in Disney last year, so it was before that. But anyway, that it was like sharing stories, and that's all it was going deep into stories of like things that was like, oh, I never knew that happened. Like like those deep dark stories started to come up. So it's amazing what being nostalgic will do to people. So all right, Murphy, let's take it away with the PM minute before we air somebody's dirty laundry that we don't mean to at this point. So
let's see the PM minute. Okay. When it comes to projects, they can get so big and they can be huge. They can have all the details, huge amount of details. And the very next step, when all the details get all this overwhelming and all that we don't know, unknown things, and then bringing it down to just the next step can bring everyone together. And oftentimes too, it's like there's a next step for each individual. So like this team needs that step, this team needs that step, this group needs that step, or person needs that step, but just the very next step. When it gets overwhelming, that first, the journey of a million miles begins with a single step.
I was just thinking that.
Why are you thinking that? Oh my gosh.
I guess it's working. Your PM minutes are working.
So yeah, there are definitely times, and in my life right now, I'm having to think next step. Don't try to swallow the whole elephant.
Mm-hmm.
So
don't try to swallow the whole elephant. I like that. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's now I'm a man of taking many steps in one long leap. But yeah. that's my tallest man and higher ed AV thing. But no, I agree with that. Like sometimes it's just focusing on what that next step is helps to keep moving forward, as it were, so.
Yeah. So we actually talked about similar thing on Ask the Programmer. and this is how I attack a lot of my programming. Like I remember a big project I had. We had this event space that had 3 projectors, 2 lecterns, and 20 different locations. It was this elaborate system that I had to design, upgrade, code, all that stuff. And what I always tell my programmers that I work with and I talked on the show and what I did on this project was, all right, well, instead of looking at it and going, man, I got this complicated system I need to program. Well, we already know we got to turn on display. Boom, get that done. All right, now we go to the next one. Now we need to route video from this. Then you put it in smaller chunks and you get done the smaller ones, and then all of a sudden your big picture is done.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
good.
You start with the elephant's trunk and not try to eat the whole thing at once. You know, as
I don't
Murphy was
know
saying.
about that. I learned an interesting thing about an elephant trunk yesterday. You know, they can be about 7.5 feet long and hold up to 2 gallons of water.
Oh,
Wow.
that's a juicy piece of meat.
Yeah, my one daughter is really into elephants, and so she's looking all into things about elephants, and
See,
we talked about this yesterday.
That's the thing about elephants is they're not predators, and they're not really prey.
Yep.
So they're a special category, and so it's against the law to hunt them now.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were being hunted towards extinction, people in general didn't hunt them to eat them. They hunt them just to be happy they killed one, and then
the ivory
chunks. Yeah.
The ivory, the tusks.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm like, I was thinking maybe it was kind of like oxtail, but oxtail is very fatty, but the trunk of an elephant is probably really muscular.
Probably.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's a good piece of meat though. Yeah. With all the work that gets done. I mean, maybe it is, but
does it taste like chicken?
Everything tastes like chicken. It's because we're in the Matrix, so everything tastes like. That's why everything tastes like chicken. And that's why even tasty wheat. Are we even really tasting tasty wheat?
We're on.
Sorry,
today.
I had a thing for the Matrix back in the day, like that. And then I watched like the last one that Keanu Reeves was in, the one that only came out like last year, and it just kind of let me down.
Horrible.
It let me down so bad. My expectations were so high, and like my expectations weren't even that high to begin with, because I know the third one was like it was good, but it wasn't what the first one was. And so my expectations were at least going to be better than the third one, and it didn't even meet that. Like I was like, oh
yeah. See, the only trilogy I really enjoyed that wasn't like based on a movie or a book or anything like that. At least I don't think it was based on a book. So listeners, correct me if I'm wrong. But would be the Cube series.
Which series?
They're Cube.
Oh.
Qube.
Okay.
They're a sci-fi movie. They're old. I forget how old they are, but it's very. So the first one called Cube, and without going into too much detail of what the movie's about to give away, the premise is these folks wake up in these rooms that are square, door on top, bottom, left, right, door on each wall type deal, and they go into other rooms that are identical to them. Some rooms are booby traps. So, like, they are trying to figure out which rooms are safe, which rooms are not safe, and trying to figure out how to get out. So that's the first movie. And that's all. There's no explanation how these folks get into the cube or anything like that. The second one is called Hypercube. And what's cool about that one was it's the same premise. You have a cube, and some are booby trap rooms, some rooms are not booby trap, safe type deal. But part of so in normal cube, you have your height, width, and depth. That's what they deal with. Hypercube adds the fourth dimension of time into it. So sometimes the room time speeds up. So you enter the room and you like go for a whole life and before you can get across the room, like you die trying to get through the room. And then they came out. There were so many questions about both movies that they actually came out with the prequel or Cube Zero that explains like how some things of this happen. They're really done. They're done very well.
Oh, that sounds. I'm intrigued now. You got me
and
on
it wasn't
that
based
one.
on a book.
I don't know. I don't know.
I do like the sound of that. It's almost like it feels like it was like something from like the 70s or the 80s. I feel like that falls
it's
into
old.
that.
Yeah,
Speaking
it's old
of which,
and actually go ahead. Sorry.
This is the same year of Soylent Green.
Oh, 2022. Oh,
watch
geez.
out.
Uh-oh.
I don't know.
Yeah, crazy.
So
but
the
that's
Q.
Unfortunately, we're gonna come across a lot of that stuff. Like there's movies that reference this time era that we grew up watching.
Yep. Well, yeah, we already passed like the whole Back to the Future date.
We went back to the future, came back, and don't know where we are.
It's like no flying cars. Like I don't have a hoverboard.
Where's my jetpack?
It's like, come on. Like, yeah, where's my jetpack? Yeah, where's my Rocketeer jetpack? Like that was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're hitting that point. So, and it's actually interesting you bring that up. And I was starting to think about it while you were telling that story. I'm like, we're hitting that time right now where like the pre-Oscar stuff is starting to come up, and Brendan Fraser's up and has been brought up many times over the last couple of weeks for his movie The Whale. He plays the 600-pound man, and like his journey. Apparently, it's supposed to be phenomenal. Like they're saying, this is a career revitalizing role for him. So,
oh wow, yeah, I've heard about it too. I haven't heard too much about it.
By becoming 600 pounds.
Well, it's interesting because the pictures I've seen of him recently, he's not the Brendan Fraser that you remember from like The Mummy and those like that era when he was like really popular. He is, I mean, he's obviously he's older because it's been 15-20 years since those movies, but like he is a little bit bigger. So I think he did put on some weight for the role. I haven't been able to see anything.
Or maybe he just put on some weight and then the role.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's, you 20 years have passed and, things happen. So.
I'm sorry I interrupted you, James.
Oh, I don't even remember what I was saying. Not important.
Oh, okay.
And don't apologize.
So it's yeah. So we're there. I know there's his, and then because there's that big film festival that was just wrapping up, and is it the one in France? I think.
And
so, talking about movies, I came across it was a happy come across. So we don't have cable, so we watch things on Netflix, Hulu, whatever streaming service we have. We watch things on. And sometimes my wife or I or the kids will throw something on and then move on. Like they'll do something in the house, and so it ends and goes on to something else. So my wife was doing this. She put something on and she went into the kitchen. Her show ended. So instead of Xing out, it went on to another movie. And it was a movie I never heard of. She never heard of, but it was actually really good. It was called The Cowboys. And it's not, to me, it felt like an old movie, but it's actually new. I shared to Mark Coxon's post when he was talking about traveling and what to watch. And I can't think of the guy's name, but there's a guy on there, and he actually talks about I want to use the right verbiage because I know words matter, but I'm going to use the wrong verbiage. But basically, their child gender was a female, but she felt she was a boy.
Oh, okay.
And talked about like that whole thing, and it really was about that and how the mom felt he was really trying to be like the dad and didn't take to consideration the like what he was saying.
Oh yeah, Steve Zahn is the dad.
Yes, that's it. Yes, it's
I
really
looked it up.
good. Yeah, it's really good. And came out what 2022, right?
2020. It's been 2 years. So
all right.
Yeah, I'm taking a quick glance. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
A troubled but well-intentioned father who has recently separated from his wife runs off with his trans son into the Montana wilderness after his ex-wife's refusal to let their son live as his authentic self.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a girl. He was a girl that went to be a boy.
Yeah. I mean, yes, you can say that.
Yeah. That's the way I'm reading that sentence, is that that was the transition.
Yeah, I was trying. I want to say there was no transition. Like he didn't have any surgery done or anything. He felt like the movie was talked more about what you hear people talk like. Oh, I feel like I'm a boy and in a girl's body. Like it didn't have any like, oh, I'm going to go get surgery or I'm going to take hormone pills or things like that. It just talked about the mindset, I think, and that's what I found very interesting about the movie and Awakening and how society comes at it differently.
That's cool. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm putting it in the chat to remember for later. So
yeah.
Now I read that prior to 20 teens, the records of gender dysphoria, which is another word for trans, was that it was very much prior to the teens, it was really mostly males that were transitioning towards the female. So I found that to be very interesting. And there is there's a lot of information about how there's some peer pressure that's having girls have this situation. And so that's concerning to me as a woman with a 13-year-old girl. So it's something to be very aware of and treat carefully.
Well, I agree. And that's, as a parent and also as a parent of a young boy, it's something to be, we all need to be, it's, every generation, and I'm sure our parents had to go through something similar with us, whatever, maybe not necessarily gender identification like this, but they all, we all have our challenges to overcome for sure.
Yeah. I definitely think there's a challenge, a huge challenge. And I think society is really, you have the younger generation who's trying to make change, but unfortunately you still have the old guard. And I feel for the kids, because like I was thinking back when I was in New Jersey, not to derail this too much, but when I was running the soccer league, we did have some members in our organization who identify as they. So I was like, and I treated them as they wanted to be called. But I was thinking is we played in our travel team played in one league where their policy was you were considered a boys team if you had one boy on your team. You could have 13 girls on your team, but one boy, they put you in the boys league. So you have your boys or girls league only. And I'm like, well, how does that help the kids who identify differently? And I don't think anyone has an answer for that, unfortunately.
Not yet.
Yeah.
It's being worked out.
Because it goes off your birth certificate. And
this
then
is, we're reaching uncharted
Yeah, sorry.
territory right now.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It's like because it goes off your birth certificate, which I know in New Jersey now, at least if I read it right, you don't have to put a gender down on the birth certificate.
Well, yeah, I think that was a
Yeah.
recent change. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a recent change. So it's like, all right, how does this play to these old guard policies that do need to be upgraded, 100% need to be changed, and because we need to think about the well-being of children. And there's a lot of, you can go at it 100 different angles.
You talk about the old guard. I'm sorry, the young kids and the old guard, but I do think that there is a certain amount of societal prompting that it's important to let the kids be themselves, and there's this weird push going on too, so they're not independent of one another. And
no, I don't think they're
and that I will say that there are some traditional parents, let's just put it that way, that so as an example, I was on one of the Facebook groups for my town, and one of the moms asked, is like, my student came home from the high school and they had a field. The teacher was asking, like, it was like one of those get to know me type sheets of paper, and they asked their preferred pronouns. And the mom was like, is this, because they were new to town, they were like, is this commonplace in the schools? And then it was just comment after comment of, it should be what's on their birth certificate, but it should be this, it should be the other thing. And then it's just like, can we just let our kids grow up? Like, if it's, I don't want to start anything here, because that's not what we're here for, but it is something, it's a topic of conversation that is currently happening. And even in small towns such as myself, it's a big point of thing. And social media has become a place that anybody could spout whatever crosses their mind.
And that's the thing. And going to the social media thing, I find there's so much garbage on social media in general. Like,
yes.
Just in general. It just has nothing to do with any one thing. If you read comments, like I sometimes I'll go into the comments on like the president's Twitters. I did this both on Trump and both on Biden. I'll start going through some of the comments, reading them, and you'll see the same person at the top of the comment being like, oh, you're the wonderful president, you're the best president, and done it for both. And then you go like maybe 100 comments down, the same person going, you need to be fired, impeached, get rid of you, on the same post, same person. I'm like, this has,
maybe
like,
it was a bot.
Garbage. Yeah, I'm sure there's bots, but there's tons of them. Like I'm saying, like it's the same. It's not like, oh, a handful. It's like almost all the comments are that way. So it's like nothing but garbage out there. And social media is freaking a cesspool, unfortunately.
And unfortunately, we trained all our kids through the COVID generation to be on the stupid screens all the time. I'm like, oh, we've got to get back to being around people and breathing the air that the other people are breathing. So even if they're annoying the crap out of us, we go, yeah, but that's a person. Yeah. And that matters a lot. And understanding people's as people instead of a collection of ideas. Like, no, it's to get out of my own head and go, you're a person. What do you need? It's so funny. I did a tweet yesterday because there's a railway strike going on. I think that there's starting towards to be a resolution to the strike. And I said, hey guys, there's a railway strike going on. If you didn't know, better stock up on staples, buy some flour or something.
Yeah.
And I posted the status that was yesterday. When after I posted, I'm like, well, here's the status. And the status was Bernie Sanders has stopped the Republicans' idea for a resolution. And someone, not an AV tweeper, but someone random from the internet was like, well, that's just how democracy works. People have a right to strike. I'm like, it's not actually democracy you're talking about. That's
No.
a category thing.
That's the thing. A lot of
you're using that word, but I don't think you know what
I
it
don't think
means.
that word means what it means.
Yeah.
And then
and that
then
about
he said,
90% of social media. They're using words that they don't
I know.
understand. They don't know what they mean.
And then he said, well, it sounds like you're siding with the Republicans. I'm like, I'm siding with people getting food.
Yeah. That's the thing is that I've learned this in last, I mean, I've known this for a while, but there's no I might agree with this aspect, but not the idea of the whole party. It's either you're 100% a Republican or you're 100% Democratic, and you have to agree with every single thing they do. And it's like, that's why I don't affiliate with a party. Like I vote who I feel is the best candidate.
Sounds like you agree with the. Oh crap! What idea is that?
Oh yeah. They're gonna find some idea, but that's the thing is, I have voted both ways. I have voted Republican. I have voted Democratic, and I'll admit there are Republican candidates who I might have voted for, but I did not agree with every single thing they did or believed in. But I thought they were a better choice than the other candidate.
No, we're not going to find perfection in the politics.
No.
We have to find the best we can
find.
We're
not finding perfection anywhere.
I
mean, the first time you want to criticize somebody, look in the mirror.
Woo.
And ask how you would act in that situation.
And that's
the thing is, look in the mirror. Clean up your own house. Like, stop looking at other people and being like, well, you're doing it wrong, and look at your own self.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, we navigated those waters fairly peacefully. That was crazy. All right.
That only here on the AV Life do we manage to start out with cars and then end up in gender identification. So it's
yeah. I've been in a rare form lately, I'll admit. Sorry.
That's okay. Hey, I mean, that's kind of where we're at as a country, is that, we all have to be in rare form nowadays.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I started having a Muppets Take Manhattan moment,
what
Murphy.
Did that quote you there? Okay.
So you had mentioned about people and people is people, and that was people's is a line from Muppets Take Manhattan. They're all at the restaurant, and I'm trying to remember what the lead-in was because I haven't watched that movie in forever. But I love that one because it's got the most amount of music in a Muppets special than most of the other ones do. Plus, it talks about Broadway and things like that. So like it resonated with me as a kid. So yeah, he goes. The owner goes, "Hey, I tell you what is big city. Live, work, huh? But not city only. Only people's. People's is people's. Noah's buildings is tomatoes. Is people's is dancing. Is music. So people's is people's. Okay, like so he's saying the city
dance with our tomatoes and potatoes and be people.
And he's saying more that the city is more about the people than it is about the actual buildings, is really what he's saying in there, in a lighthearted, worded way is what he's, saying. And that's what we are. Bravo. The people, so it doesn't matter where we come from, what we do or who we are. It's just, we are people.
Yeah. We are people. When it comes in, and that's the thing, we need to get back to that. We are people.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. We are humans. We make mistakes. Like, people make mistakes all the time. Like, if you're 100% perfect, good for you. But then again,
you're not even that interesting if you're 100% perfect.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you don't learn anything from being right all the time. You learn from your failures.
That reminds me of the show my daughter rewatching. We really like it as a family. 911, Lone Star, and they also have another one. I think it's the Lone Star series, 911, and they need to hire a new medic for the medic And they have one guy who has a perfect record, a perfect save record. And they're like, man, he must be an outstanding EMT. And he's doing his probation with them. And they found out why he has a perfect record. He only takes calls that he knows he can save the person.
Well,
so yeah. Like,
if I knew, I was gonna say, I could be a great baseball player if I knew every pitch that was coming at me.
Yep. Oh yeah, and that's the thing is they found it was like, no, this is not what you do as an EMT. This is not right. You don't get to pick and choose your calls. You gotta, yes, you don't need to put your life in danger. Like there was one situation where where they came up, and found out was these kids got stuck in a minefield. So, and one of them has shrapnel in them. So the captain asked, hey, go with the firefighters as they tried to figure out the minefield because they had a plan, and he refused to go. And the captain's like, oh, you're right. I should not have asked you to do that. And then they dig more into the whole conversation. And the guy's like, well, you guys are nuts. You take calls that are extreme. And they're like, well, you don't get to pick your calls. And they found out he only took calls that he knew he could save the person.
Mm.
Again, now this was all a TV show. People it's not real life.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know that TV show at all, so I'm like, what? There's a minefield?
Oh, it's pretty good. It's about firefighters, and well, the Lone Star one is a little more on the firefighter side. It's a drama. I would say it's more a drama. Same with the 911. It kind of does cross between police and firefighters, and they're all connected. Like they're friends type deal, and they do the 911 dispatch, and it's a pretty good show. And the Lone Star one has Rob Lowe in it, so it's pretty good. Tim, have you seen it?
No, I haven't actually. It's funny. So going back to what you were talking about earlier, James, about how we got on to Cowboys, we're starting that process of cutting the cord. It's actually one of my to-do lists. It's on my to-do list for this month, to kind of do the price comparison to see, like, is it really worth it for us to do so? So really a lot of the things that we've been watching lately have been reruns of things. So I'm on my sixth iteration of we finished The Office multiple times. We finished Parks and Rec multiple times. We're going through Modern Family right now, so it's and it was funny because I went to go pick up lunch today while I was on campus, and on the big jumbotron in our what they call the yard, they're watching Modern Family. I was like, this is great.
So this is this pet peeve. You send me on another tangent here about services. So this is something I really complained about a lot many years when I cut the cord. I have no problem cutting the cord for 99% of what I watch TV for. But I'll admit, I do enjoy my live sports.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when I cut the cord and I was doing Apple TV and stuff, I was like, all right, I want to start watching some live sports. So, I looked at the NFL package, it was way too much money. I looked at the NHL package, way too much money. I finally came down and I looked at the MLS package at that time, and it was a fair price. It was a good price. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll get a subscription to this. Then I started reading. It's like, yeah, you can watch any game except for when they're blacked out, cable blacked out. And I started looking at the blackout. It was like all the games I wanted to watch were blacked out in my area. So I'm like, wait, I'm paying a monthly fee, but I can't watch whatever I want. Like that doesn't make sense. Even now I'm on the West Coast. I wanted to watch the Giants. I'm a Giants fan. I'll admit it. They may not be the best, but I like the New York Giants.
Hey, they won. So
yes, they should not have won that game, but I'm not going into that. But anyway, I wanted to watch it, and I was like, so I looked at different services, and it's like, no, it's like I have a online subscription where I can watch live TV on my iPad and phone. I couldn't watch the game. It's like, no, you can't watch this in your area. Like, you had to put in where, like, you had to use your location, and it came up with like, nope, blocked out in this area. I'm like, this is stupid. Like, if I'm paying a subscription, I should be able to watch what I want, not have these
That's how they
stupid
get you.
blackouts. I know, and it's a big pet peeve, and this is why people hate cable companies and go around corners and find solutions. And it just, hey, NFL, you want to make money? Have it where, say, have different tiers, but say, like, okay, if you want to follow the New York Giants, you pay, say, $10 a month, and you can watch only the New York Giants games. Then you can have your blackouts. Hell, you can probably throw commercials in there too.
Well, I think that I foresee that coming, James, and here's why: because the contracts with like the NFL Sunday Ticket are coming up. I think that's this season. This is it. Like, this is the last season for the NFL Sunday Ticket. So once DirecTV loses control of that, I have the feeling you're going to see that. You're going to see either the NFL. The NFL is going to either just take it all for themselves because they already have NFL films. So that's just could be a division off of them to say, okay, here's everything. And it could be up to the. Yeah, I see that happening. So I think you're on to something there. Because, I would totally pay just to watch this. I would. No, that's fine. I would totally pay to just watch the Steelers like that.
I would.
I don't need anything else. I could go get one of those HD antennas and put it out on my TV, and I can catch the whatever local action is happening. If I really need additional games. So I don't need the cable connection anymore.
The thing is about, like, the NFL, and they're not about the sport anymore. A lot of the major sports are that way. They're not about the sport. They're a business. And granted, yes, they are a business. But, like, let's even take a look at the Super Bowl. They won't play in a cold weather area because the famous people who come to watch the Super Bowl in the stadium won't want to sit out in the rain or sit out in the snow. But you know what? It makes for a hell of a exciting game. So it's not about the game anymore.
Well, that's what was so exciting about when they had it here at MetLife. It was like that was huge because it was February in New Jersey. It's like, wow. It's like, it like that'll never happen in sorry, Murphy. It's not going to happen in Green Bay. They used to, but now it's not going to happen in Green Bay again. But like I love watching football when it's in the downpouring rain or in the snow. Like that's when things get interesting in football. You see them slip sliding all over the place and the ball comes loose and it's scrambling everywhere. Like that's cool to me.
And that's the thing, even to show you how in soccer, like youth soccer is ran by television, because if you look at one of the FIFA rules, they talk about one of the rules, the laws of the game that even youth players have to follow is about the uniform and how the uniform has to look. And if you look at why they had that rule in there, is because they want the professionals to look good on TV. It has nothing to do with the game. It has to do what they look like on TV. And that filters all the way down to youth games where they're not even on TV, and they have rules about how their uniform has to look.
Like about like how like shirts are tucked in and stuff like that?
Yeah, shirts has got to be tucked in. If like on the girls travel team, if the girls are wearing headbands for their hair, they have to be the same color.
Oh.
That is in the rule book. Now, a lot of refs do not enforce that. But the rule is if a player is wearing a head garment and another player is wearing, they have to be the same color. Now, you don't have to wear a head garment. Not that every player has to wear one, but if they are wearing them, they have to be the same color. Another thing is the underneath the jerseys, if you're wearing long sleeves or long pants has to be solid color. Can't be any patterns or anything else. And it has to match the uniform. So if you have like a green jersey, it's supposed to be green.
Oh, I didn't know that. See that? Yeah, because the solid color, I understood. That makes sense. Like, you know, and that's we've got one of those for my son because, you know, you get to those late October, early November games, it gets cold, you know, so.
In all my years of playing soccer, and all my years of coaching and running a league, I had one ref call that rule on us.
Wow.
One ref. He actually he came up and he's like, just no, they're not supposed to play. Like we had a girl who we were wearing our green jerseys. And I think she had a black long sleeve black jersey underneath because it was colder. And he's like, technically she's not allowed to play with that. It's in the rule book. And like I said, it's his right as a ref to make that call, and that rule stems because they wanted to look good on TV. Has nothing to do with gameplay.
And that just shows the power of the media, that they are influencing sports because that's where the money is, you know. So well, that could be a whole nother episode in and of itself too there, James. So well, we may have to hang on to that media's influence on all aspects of life. But yeah, sorry, Murphy, we kind of left you in the dust there on that sports part. So the sports team.
That's a huge question when it comes to cutting the cord. That's the main reason people don't cut the cable. And the problem in our household was we were sad to give up Turner Classic Movies. But we're like, you know what? That's going to have to go. And frankly, our enormous, what is the TV that we have? It's one of those, I think it's a plasma. That's
it's a plasma.
That's the beta to the VHS, right? Like, no, it's way better. I'm like, it was when we got it.
Darker,
it was really
darker, better blacks, and that was the whole pitch for plasma.
But
it also ran a lot hotter.
The only thing that ever is the only reason it gets turned down is every once in a while someone wants to play Minecraft, which really isn't. Like,
that's funny. Oh, well, that's a whole other. I could, that's
screens.
So, all right. Well, I think we're gonna we'll cut it. We'll cut it. Speaking of cutting the cord, we're gonna cut this episode here as well. Hey, Murphy, James, thank you very much. Pleasure as always having you two here with me. We'll be back next week. Is next week's firing range or whatever we're gonna call it. We better get on that and figure out what that's gonna be called. Yes, the pew pew episode is is coming up. I will spoil it. I know I've got Harry Mead right now, so it's gonna be a good time because I got Harry coming in, and we'll have to go find some more people to jump in and debate. And I'm starting to look at articles, and it's gonna be fun. So make sure you listen in, and until our next adventure.